I thought it would just be memory stuff, and I was curious, so I opened it, and it was filled with... It's Deidre. Hello, friends. It is Deidre, and today we are going to explore some would I be the asshole stories. So these are things that haven't yet happened. This is where people question whether or not a choice that they will be making in the near future would make them the asshole. So hopefully we can get through some of these and help them out before they actually become the asshole. Would I be the asshole if I went on a trip abroad without my wife? I'm a teacher and I am changing jobs at the end of the term. My wife is a semi-new employee at an accounting firm. Due to my schedule, I will end up having 4 weeks of paid leave off. Meanwhile, my wife will be stuck at the office. We both agreed that it would be a bit rude of me to leave her behind and go on a trip to Japan alone, but at the same time, it is 4 weeks that I think is best suited for a trip. Beings of Reddit, your take on this? Well, it sounds like you both have already agreed that it's a bit rude. It sounds like if you are agreeing with your wife, something inside of you thinks that it is not a good idea. And that aside, the fact that your wife feels that it would be rude means that if you decide to go ahead and do it, especially after you have already agreed with her that it's not a good idea, you will become the asshole in her eyes for sure, guaranteed. Unless you can talk to your wife and, break down both of your thoughts on the matter and get her to somehow understand that you'd like to do something with this 4 weeks and then become supportive of that, chances are it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. What you can do is plan a trip for the future together. If you know you both would like to get out and do something, okay, take some time off intentionally to do that thing together. I'm assuming you guys are still in love because you're considering how your wife might feel. If talking to her doesn't lead her to support that decision, the best option I would say is to plan a trip together in the future. If you can afford it now, chances are you'll be able to put that same money aside to afford it then and save yourself a lot of stress. And if you do it anyways without your wife's approval or support, yes, you would be the asshole. Would I be the asshole for not giving the previous owner of my house his stuff back? So a little backstory. My husband and I purchased our first house 4 years ago. The previous owners were having some trouble selling the house, and deals kept falling through, so they decided not to move anything until they were sure ours would go through. When we did our final walkthrough, there was still a bunch of their items in the house, and a shop full of their items as well. Shop? We moved in and gave them more time to get their items moved out. There were a few bigger items and items inconvenient to move, so the owner asked if we would be willing to hold on to the items for a little while. The items included a couple benches in the shop, a few metal racks, a large pile of wood, and a sound system for the shop. We had a verbal agreement that we would hold it, but for no longer than 6 months. Fast forward to the other day, the previous owner shows up out of the blue and says, "Thanks for holding on to my things. I'm ready to take them now." All I could think was, are you serious? It's been 4 years. I told him that we don't have all that stuff anymore, and he got visibly upset. My husband and I are okay with giving him most of the items that we still have, but I feel like we shouldn't have to give him the sound system for the shop. We will have to remove all the speakers and wiring around the shop, and I don't want to have to replace it. My husband thinks I'm overreacting and that we should just give it to him so he doesn't get mad. I think it is absurd of the previous owner to even think that we hold his stuff for 4 years and come back for it when it was convenient for him. Would I be the asshole? Well, I'm going to say that you would be the asshole because it sounds like your only issue is having to give up the sound system. I completely understand if you threw out a bunch of those other items because it was 4 years, but clearly you held on to the sound system because you liked it. And now you don't want to give it back to the owner. I'm not saying you have to. It's fair to consider those items to be abandoned after 4 years. And yeah, finders keepers, losers weepers. However, it sounds like it's very personal with the sound system. It sounds like you really like it, and it sounds like you don't want to have to replace it. Does it make you wrong to keep it? Not necessarily. Does it make you an asshole? Kinda. I don't know. You're well within your right to keep it, but you're also well within your right and your morals to give it back to the person who it belongs to. I will go ahead and say you would be the asshole. You would be the asshole, but also it shouldn't surprise the previous owner that his stuff is no longer available for whatever reason. It was 4 years, bro. Like, it isn't, you can't live partially in a house for 4 years that you've already sold. Like, it doesn't work that way. I'm even surprised that you allowed him to keep some stuff there. OP, that's kind of weird. I think that kind of crosses a boundary a little bit, but I understand wanting to help the previous owner. But this is probably the reason why you guys should make sure everything is out no matter what before you finalize these things. I don't know how it works. But yeah, it is kind of an asshole move, but an understandable asshole move. Would I be the asshole if I told my brother that my sister-in-law goes to NA? What's NA? I, 22 female, was cat-sitting for my sister-in-law, 25 female, and brother, 25 male, last weekend. They have this one cat that gets nervous and likes to hide under the bed, and I just wanted to check and make sure that this cat was okay. When I was checking under the bed, I found a photo box. Girl, you did not have to touch that. I thought it would just be memory stuff, and I was curious, so I opened it and it was filled with NA key tags and literature. What is NA? I guess I knew that my sister-in-law was a bit wild in her past, but I didn't imagine this. I knew she was arrested at one point, and I heard stories about her more wild days from my brother. When my brother first introduced us to her, she was wearing an ankle monitor. She really turned her life around, though. She volunteers and knits hats and mittens for the homeless. She's a social worker, I think, and my family adores her. I guess I'm just shocked with what I found. I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was that bad. I still think my brother should know, but I don't know if he does. In the one hand, if I tell him and he already know, it may seem like I'm trying to damage their relationship somehow. Or that I'm just really snoopy. You are. On the other hand, if he doesn't know, he could help her and just know in case something happens. I just don't want to damage my relationship with either of them. Would I be the asshole if I told my brother my sister-in-law goes to NA? Sorry for the throwaway account. I don't want anyone to find out who my sister-in-law is for her privacy. What is NA? Ah, Narcotics Anonymous. Wow. Okay, so first of all, I will say you're concerned about becoming the asshole. You are already the asshole for going through a box that was not yours. It was not even in your house. It was in your brother's house, from what I can understand. You literally went snooping in your brother and his wife's house. Found something that you didn't know about, and now you're trying to play superhero with that information, thinking that you're gonna change things for the better in their relationship. That box was under their bed. If your brother doesn't know about it, then that's on him because it's like right there. But also, people who are recovered addicts go to support groups. You don't have to be an active addict to be in the support group. So for you to take that bit of information, if she is actually recovered and she still goes there for support, privately between her and her husband, you are taking that information and you're going to sprinkle it all across the family because you're not sure about it and you are insecure about it. There's an issue there. There's nothing that you can do at this point that would make you look like any less of an asshole. I think this is one of those situations where it's better to just keep your mouth shut and mind your business. A little bit late for the mind your business part, but if you proceed with the mindset of minding your business, it would probably be in your best interest. You would be the asshole. Would I be the asshole if I told my brother he and his girlfriend should not have a baby? My 20 female brother... What? Female brother? No, my 20 female myself brother, who is 24 male, and his girlfriend are apparently trying for a baby. Here's the thing. My brother is a high school dropout. He doesn't work. He isn't back in school. He doesn't do anything, basically, but go out with his friends and smoke weed all day. Ooh. OP's onto something. Uh-oh. His girlfriend doesn't really have a stable job either. She's a hairstylist who has one client every month. My brother and his girlfriend live in our mother's basement. My mom enables the behavior. She doesn't tell him to get a job, go back to school, or do anything productive. When I found out they were trying for a baby, I immediately thought, why? When they have no source of income, no space for a baby, and neither of them are emotionally mature enough to raise a child, considering they're in a toxic relationship where they break up every month and constantly cheat on each other. Ooh. I am surprised that OP got called the asshole here, but let's keep reading and come to our own conclusion. I told my mother she needs to tell them they shouldn't be trying for a baby because of all of these reasons. She said they're two adults who can make their own decisions. Sounds like mom wants to be a babysitter. Sounds like mom wants to be a grandma. She's like, shut up, logic. I want that grandbaby. I feel like it'll seem like I'm being judgmental or unsupportive. But this isn't just about him. It's about a human child they'll potentially be screwing up by bringing them into this world unprepared. Would I be the asshole? You know what? I think to them, they would think that you're the asshole, including your mom. Sounds like your mom is probably no better than they are if she has no higher standard than what they are offering to bring kids into this world. I'm so curious about these comments. I might actually do a deep dive on this because I want to read those comments. Because WTF, to answer the question, to them, you're going to look like an asshole. And honestly, I think even if you opened your mouth and said something like that, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to listen to their 20-year-old little sister. You know, and it sounds like they're quite set in their ways. All three of those people are comfortable with the life that they're living. Highly unlikely that you're going to speak logic into these people. So, I don't think you would be the asshole to say it, but I also don't think you would be a savior or a hero for saying it either, because it's not going to matter to them other than now they think you're an asshole. And that is all for today. I hope you liked this one. Thank you so much. What do you think?